A man was walking home after a long shift, passing through a quiet local park to clear his mind. The evening air was still, and the rows of benches were mostly empty, save for one solitary figure. He thought he was just approaching a weary soul in need of help, until his camera caught this.
Hey, babushka, все нормально.
As the man offers a polite word of concern, the woman lifts her head, revealing a gaze filled with sudden, intense aggression. Without warning, she lets out a piercing shriek and slides from the bench to the pavement. The situation turns from strange to terrifying as she begins to crawl toward him with a lightning-fast, predatory motion that looks more animal than human. What makes this footage so bone-chilling is the sheer speed and the distorted way her limbs move across the ground. Some viewers believe this is a documented encounter with a skinwalker or a possessed entity, while others think it's a deeply disturbing, high-effort prank. So, was that a person in a moment of crisis, or something that only wears a human face? The 3:33 a.m. visitor. A baby was resting peacefully in her crib, monitored by a security camera during the silent hours of the night. The room seemed safe and still, until the clock hit the witching hour and the camera caught this. Precisely at 3:33 a.m., the infant bolts upright, her eyes locking onto an empty corner of the room. Suddenly, a music box begins to play on its own. The tension peaks when an invisible force violently shakes the crib, causing the baby to lose her balance and fall backward. What makes this footage so disturbing is the deliberate aggression of the movement. Some viewers believe this is a classic poltergeist manifestation, while others are convinced the child was reacting to a shadow entity. So, was that just a mechanical coincidence? Or was something in that room playing with the baby? The porch's last resident. A group of urban explorers decided to investigate a weather-beaten, rotting house that had long been rumored to be haunted. Armed with a spirit box that had previously signaled a presence, they approached the broken structure under the cover of midnight. They thought they were just documenting an empty ruin, until their camera caught this.
Cara, que é aquilo ali, velho?
Eita, mano, aquela cadeira, velho.
É uma cadeira?
Tu lembra, Chamos? Eu acho que é
Eu vi tá mexendo ali, homem. Tá mexendo lá, olha lá.
Essa cadeira não tava mais aí, velho. Tu lembra, cara?
Cara do céu, velho.
Did you see the chair moving? Before the team even stepped foot inside, a wooden rocking chair on the porch began to sway with a steady, rhythmic motion. Despite the lack of wind or visible wires, the chair continued its haunting back and forth tilt, as if occupied by an invisible weight. What makes this footage so bone-chilling is the final reveal captured by the cameraman. As the rest of the group moved forward, he looked back one last time to find a pale, elderly woman sitting in the chair, staring directly at them from the pitch-black porch. While some viewers believe it's a perfectly timed hoax, others are convinced it's the restless spirit confirmed by the spirit box. So, was that a trespasser seeking rest, or a grandmother who never moved out? The stolen soul. Harris and his wife were living through their darkest chapter after the loss of their young son. Consumed by grief, the mother turned to a dark sorcerer to perform a resurrection ritual. She thought she was bringing her child back, until the camera caught this.
ये उसने चिराग जलाया हुआ है, पहले पता नहीं जला हुआ था ये नहीं।
Did you hear that sound? After the ritual, the boy's soul never returned, but the wife was left in a terrifying, hollow trance. The tragedy took a sinister turn when Harris realized that the haunting, rhythmic sobbing coming from her didn't belong to her at all. It sounded exactly like the old sorcerer's voice. What makes this footage so disturbing is the theory that the sorcerer stole her soul to possess her young body. Some believe it's an actual spiritual exchange, while others think it's a manifestation of extreme trauma. So, was it a mother's grief, or the sorcerer celebrating his new life from within? The water ghost of Indonesia. A group of explorers navigated a cramped boat through the pitch-black rivers of Indonesia, seeking a local legend in the murky depths. They thought they were just staring into empty, dark water until the camera caught this.
Pain itu biarin aja botolnya, biarin aja dia biarin aja di kabur botol itu. Dia ngomong, holy shit, masuk dia.
After a man tosses a bottle to bait the river, an incredibly pale, deformed hand with claw-like fingers erupts from the water. With a lightning-fast motion, the entity snatches the object and vanishes back into the depths, leaving the witnesses in the total panic. What makes this footage so chilling is the non-human anatomy of the limb. While some believe it's a clever prank, others are convinced it's a water ghost from local folklore. So, was that just a trick? Or is there something hiding beneath the surface? The mirror's seal. An investigator was sent to an abandoned property to solve the mystery of strange, heavy noises echoing through the empty halls. The house had been vacant for years, and the air was thick with dust and a sense of lingering dread. He thought he was just entering a derelict building to debunk a local myth, until his camera caught this. Did you see the mirror? Right there, on an old cart, sits an antique mirror the investigator suspects is acting as a seal to trap a dark presence. As he begins to clean the glass, the spiritual barrier appears to shatter, triggering immediate poltergeist activity. Without warning, an invisible force shoves a heavy sofa across the room with violent strength. What makes this footage so bone-chilling is the dark shadow that manifests behind the furniture just seconds after the seal is broken. Some viewers believe this is an authentic capture of an entity release, while others think the movement was a clever mechanical setup. So, was that just a trick of the light? Or did he just let something out that was never meant to be free? The bridal shop dance. The owner of a bridal boutique was taking a quiet break on a sofa during her lunch hour, enjoying the stillness of her empty shop. Surrounded by rows of elegant white gowns, the atmosphere was calm and silent. She thought it was the perfect moment for a quick nap, until her camera caught this. Did you see it spin? Without anyone touching them, one of the mannequins began to slowly rotate on its axis, as if admiring the dress it was wearing. The scene turned even more terrifying when other models on the floor started moving in coordination, mimicking dance steps in an invisible choreography. Terrified, the woman fled the shop, but the activity didn't stop. Even the cushions on the sofa, where she had been sleeping, continued to move violently. What makes this footage so haunting is the rhythmic, graceful nature of the movements, suggesting a deliberate will behind the inanimate objects. Some viewers believe this is residual energy from former brides trapped within the gowns, while others suspect a playful poltergeist has taken control of the store. So, was it just a mechanical failure in the displays? Or do these plastic brides come to life when no one is watching? The forest cabin stalker. A Polish urban explorer was trekking through a remote forest when he stumbled upon a weathered wooden cabin, seemingly forgotten by time. Thinking he was alone in the wilderness, he decided to leave his mark with a can of spray paint. He thought he was just tagging an empty shell, until his camera caught this. Did you see that figure? After defacing the walls, the explorer was suddenly chased from the cabin onto a nearby trail. Even from a distance, the camera captures a terrifying entity dressed in black, with skin so pale it looks cadaveric. Despite his desperate attempt to flee, the figure refuses to give up the hunt, watching him from the shadows of the trees. What makes this footage so bone-chilling is the unnatural appearance of the inhabitant. While some viewers believe the explorer walked into the home of a dangerous hermit, others are convinced the pale, thin frame matches descriptions of a skinwalker or a forest spirit provoked by the graffiti. So, was that a resident protecting his home? Or something that hasn't been human for a very long time? The vessel of Annabel. A young collector brought a replica of the infamous Annabel doll into his home, dismissive of the legends surrounding the possessed icon. But soon, the quiet of his room was replaced by a heavy, suffocating atmosphere and sounds that couldn't be explained. He grabbed his phone to document the activity, thinking it was just a string of coincidences, until his camera caught this. Without a draft or any mechanical explanation, the door swings open wide as if invited by an unseen hand. As the boy steps forward to close it, a decorative object on the table is violently hurled to the ground by an invisible force. What makes this footage so disturbing is the sheer aggression of the movement. It wasn't a slow slide, it was a deliberate strike. Some viewers believe the doll acted as a literal beacon for a poltergeist, while others are convinced the boy unknowingly invited a vessel into his home that refuses to remain a decoration. So, was that just a series of glitches, or was the entity finished with the doll and moving on to him? The forest primate. A hiker was deep in the heart of a dense, ancient forest, miles away from any known trails. The air was thick with the scent of pine and the sounds of distant wildlife, creating a false sense of peace. He thought he was alone in the vast wilderness, until his camera caught this. Did you see that face behind the tree? From the thick vegetation, a massive dark figure emerges, peering through the trunks with an unsettling intelligence. This isn't just a shadow. It's a hulking, ape-like hominid that seems to have been stalking the hiker's every move. The most bone-chilling moment occurs when the creature and the man lock eyes, both freezing in a heavy, silent standoff that lasts for several heart-stopping seconds. What makes this footage so incredible is the sheer proximity between the hiker and the entity. While many Bigfoot sightings are blurry and distant, this encounter happens face to face, revealing a gaze that feels disturbingly human. Some viewers believe this is definitive proof of a reclusive primate species, while others suspect a highly detailed suit used for a hoax. So, was that a legendary beast guarding its territory, or something else watching us from the trees? The roadblocker encounter. A driver was navigating a dark rural road in York, UK, late at night, expecting nothing more than a quiet commute home. The narrow lane was swallowed by shadows until a mysterious figure appeared, blocking the path and forcing the vehicle to a halt. The driver initially felt a flash of anger at the obstruction, until the figure turned around and the dash cam caught this. Dressed in a long, dark cloak, the figure stands perfectly still, cradling what appears to be a baby-like doll. As the car cautiously approaches and passes, the entity remains motionless, its presence casting a chilling energy over the deserted road. Overwhelmed by a sudden, intense panic, the driver sped away into the night. What makes this footage so unsettling is the deliberate theatrical nature of the encounter. Some viewers are convinced this is a high-effort prank designed to terrorize travelers, while others believe it mirrors local legends of spectral mourners haunting the outskirts of the city. So, was that a person in a costume, or a silent warning from the past? The shadow behind the tree. Carol and her partner were driving along a lonely highway, flanked by dense woods late at night. What began as a quiet trip turned suffocating when they felt eyes watching them from the deep darkness of the brush. They decided to pull over to confirm their suspicions, thinking it was just their imagination playing tricks, until the car's headlights caught this.
What the frick is that?
What? What's behind that tree?
Nana, what is that?
Right there, behind the trunk. Under the glare of the high beams, a solid black silhouette peeks out from behind a tree. The figure appears to stalk the couple's every move, hiding and reappearing while maintaining an unsettling fixity toward the vehicle. Terrified, they sped away without daring to look back. What makes this footage so disturbing is the nature of the shadow, a black so dense it seems to absorb the light. Some viewers are convinced this is a shadow person or a forest entity, while others fear a physical predator was waiting for the right moment to strike. So, was that a human stalker hiding in the night, or something that doesn't belong to the material world? The water ghost encounter. A fisherman was enjoying a quiet afternoon by the river, his eyes fixed on his float as he waited for a catch. The water was calm, and the surrounding woods were silent, creating a sense of total isolation. He thought he was alone on the bank, until his camera caught this. Slowly breaking the surface, a figure with long, matted black hair begins to emerge from the depths. What makes this footage so unsettling are the bulging, wide-set eyes that lock onto the fisherman with predatory intensity. The entity moves toward the shore with a constant, unnatural glide that defies the current. What makes this sighting so bone-chilling is the human-like gaze paired with such a disturbing physical form. While some viewers believe it's a known animal behaving strangely, others are convinced it's a water ghost from local folklore, a restless spirit that haunts the river's edge. So, was that just a creature of the wild, or something that doesn't belong in our world? The vengeful shopping cart. A man named Kobe was returning to his car in a flat-level parking lot, expecting a routine trip home. The pavement was steady and the wind was calm, yet he found a stray shopping cart had inexplicably drifted into his vehicle. He thought it was just a random bit of bad luck, until he spoke up and his camera caught this. Did you see it move? After Kobe begins complaining out loud about the dent, the cart suddenly jerks into motion again. Without any slope or gust of wind to push it, the metal frame pivots and rolls directly toward him with startling precision, as if responding to his voice. What makes this footage so bizarre is the way the cart seems to possess a will of its own. While some viewers believe it's a perfectly timed gust of wind or a hidden incline, others are convinced it's a classic example of poltergeist activity, or object possession triggered by negative energy. So, was that just a trick of physics? Or did that shopping cart actually have a bone to pick? The abandoned housekeeper. A neighbor was filming the property across the street, a house that had been completely boarded up and vacant for over 6 months. The neighborhood was quiet, and the driveway was overgrown, showing no signs of life or utility activity. He thought he was just documenting a derelict building, until his camera caught this. Did you see her through the glass? Right there, in the upstairs window, the clear silhouette of a woman with long hair appears, dressed in a white gown. What makes this footage so bone-chilling is her behavior. She isn't just standing still, but appears to be moving through the room as if performing routine domestic chores in a house that hasn't seen a living soul in half a year. What makes this sighting so unsettling is the fluid, natural way the figure moves through the restricted space. Some viewers believe this is a residual haunting, a loop of energy from a former inhabitant, while others fear a squatter has taken up residence in the shadows. So, was that a person hiding in the decay, or a spirit that refuses to leave her home? The forest humanoids. An explorer set up a stationary camera in a dense remote forest, hoping to capture some local wildlife during the quiet hours of the day. The area was surrounded by crumbling ruins and thick brush, far from any hiking trails or human settlements. He thought he was just filming the swaying trees, until his camera caught this. Did you see them? Emerging from the shadows of the ruins, two small, dark-skinned figures begin to move through the undergrowth. What makes this footage so bone-chilling is their incredible agility. They leap and glide with a fluid, rapid motion that defies typical human movement. What makes this sighting so unsettling is the way the entities seem to be scouting the area with a calculated curiosity before vanishing back into the deep vegetation. Some viewers believe these are duendes, or elemental spirits of the forest, while others are convinced they are a rare, undiscovered primate species. So, was that just a trick of the shadows? Or were those the true inhabitants of the woods? The roadside spectre. A driver was traveling along a desolate highway in the dead of night, surrounded by an absolute darkness broken only by the vehicle's headlights. The road seemed clear, and the journey was passing in the total silence, creating a false sense of security. He thought it was just another routine night drive, until his camera caught this. Did you see that figure? Right in the middle of the road, the high beams illuminate a white, ethereal silhouette standing perfectly still. As the car approaches, the human shape becomes clearer, revealing a presence that seems to completely ignore the laws of physics. The narrator suggests this could be a wandering spirit, a manifestation linked to past tragedies in this specific area. What makes this footage so haunting is the way the entity appears to look directly into the camera just as the car passes by. Some viewers are convinced this is an authentic apparition trapped in an eternal loop, while others fear it's a warning for those traveling alone. So, was that just a trick of the mist and lights? Or an encounter with someone who doesn't realize they no longer belong to this world? The hallway apparition. A homeowner was investigating a series of strange occurrences in his house, navigating the narrow corridors that had felt increasingly heavy with an unexplained presence. The air was cold, and the flickering lights cast long, distorted shadows against the walls. He thought he was just chasing shadows and creaky floorboards, until his camera caught this. Did you see that figure? As a door creaks open on its own, a small, dark entity emerges into the hallway. It doesn't walk so much as glide, moving with a fluid, unsettling motion toward the man. Terrified but determined, he follows the figure as it rounds a corner, expecting to corner an intruder, only to find a solid, unbroken wall. The cemetery lure. George, a night watchman, was performing his routine patrol through the silent paths of a local cemetery. The midnight air was cold, and the only sound was the crunch of gravel beneath his boots. He thought it was just another quiet shift, until his flashlight beam caught this. Did you see her? Amidst the shadows of the graves, a small girl appears, standing perfectly still. Thinking she's a lost child, George calls out to her, but she immediately bolts into the darkness. Her behavior takes on an unsettling pattern. She seems to be leading him deeper into the labyrinth of the dead, pausing just long enough to ensure he's still following. What makes this footage so chilling is the calculated silence of the child. Some believe George was being lured into a spiritual trap, while others think he was chasing a residual haunting. So, was that just a frightened child? Or something leading him toward a place he can't leave? The roadside mystery. A driver was traveling down a pitch-black, isolated highway when his headlights cut through the gloom to reveal something standing at the very edge of the pavement. The surrounding woods were silent, and the nearest town was miles away. He thought it was just debris or a hitchhiker, until his camera caught this. Did you see that shape? In the dead of night, the high beams illuminate a figure that defies easy explanation. It doesn't move like a person, yet it lacks the typical silhouette of any local wildlife. The entity remains eerily still by the shoulder of the road, its presence radiating a sense of immediate danger that caused the driver to freeze. What makes this footage so unsettling is the driver's wise decision to keep his distance. Rather than approaching to investigate, he chose to speed away, a move the narrator validates as a necessary safety precaution in such a desolate area. Some viewers believe this was an encounter with a cryptid lurking in the shadows, while others think it was a sophisticated trap set by someone or something malicious. So, was that just a trick of the light, or a predator waiting for someone to stop?